What's up, dudes and dudes to the internet? We are back again some more Trove on PlayStation 5. What? Okay, so I thought it would be a good idea to kind of summarize the recent patches, just because you guys on console basically got three Mario and Luigi Mario, three different huge patches to Trove that might be kind of confusing just because of the significance of them. Generally speaking, let's be real, these updates are pretty lackluster overall, but at least you guys finally got them on console, so I can't really complain about that, right? Yeah. So we're not going to end up going into detail about every little thing. I'm kind of just going to give you a summary of the bold paintbrush, you know, the bold big choices, right? Since when was there a quest icon on the compass? That's probably been there on PC. I just didn't even notice. But yeah, I actually updated the PS5 version of the game just so that we could chill here and it would actually make sense. So first and foremost, you guys ended up getting the Gunslinger No Scope update, the Fees and Felines update, which is the tax update, and the most recent one that we had on PC, the Fluxion update. So I'll kind of go through these in order, and again, I'm just going to give you kind of the main highlights so that we're not here all day. I will put a card in the top right, you know, as well as there's just links all over my channel of the patch notes themselves. So if you want to end up seeing more detail about all of this stuff, you can search that up. Hey guys, so I'm actually adding this post commentary part to this video. Throughout the entire video that I had recorded for you guys today, you might hear me reference that the update is only available for PlayStation and Xbox. And that's because when I recorded this video, it was only available for PlayStation and Xbox. So just ignore those comments because there was actually a Nintendo Switch patch just earlier today that did end up finally updating the Nintendo Switch to the same version that we have on PS4 and Xbox, which means that you guys on console are finally all caught up to everything that we have on PC. That is awesome. However, on Nintendo Switch, I did notice that there are some issues. Fluxion seems to be invisible or like just not working at all. We'll see what happens. I don't know. You guys can sound off in the comments if you find any solutions to this, because I just wanted to add this portion of the video to let you guys know that the update is live for everyone now. Gunslinger No Scope update. This was the update that basically was the rework to the Gunslinger. My feedback towards this update, it was terrible. They basically took, there's two types of reworks that they've done in this game. There's ones where they take a character and they completely remake it, almost changing all of its abilities so that they all synergize very well with one another, while also giving it some overhauls for its movement speed and damage and all this stuff. With the Gunslinger Rework, they didn't really do much. They just ended up taking its damage numbers and went whoop and boosted it up a little bit. Gunslinger, unfortunately, still kind of sucks, just because there's other classes that are far more significant boss killers, and Gunslinger still doesn't really have much movement speed. So it is a shame. You can main Gunslinger at this point for anyone that has been wondering and waiting to be able to main, you know, the Gunslinger if it's your favorite. But unfortunately, I cannot say with good conscience that the rework was a good one, because it wasn't. So then there's also hub merchant improvements. So they basically, why am I using this mount? If I recall, they're using, you know, they added like a bunch of these different NPCs, right? I think that's what they mostly did. They ended up scattering all these NPCs around that basically all just link to the shop and bring up the shop and blah, 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 you know, all that stuff, right? So cool, whatever. There's also some additional changes, which, you know, again, is just fixes and junk that we're not going to end up getting into in today's video, because otherwise we would be here all day. Now for the Fees and Felines patch notes, which is the tax update. This is probably the most significant update that you guys have gotten that is going to affect you in the most negative way possible. The tax update, straight up, nobody likes it. Absolutely nobody likes it. I don't know why the devs even put it in the game. Nobody asked for it. The taxes in the game are supposed to stop people from doing like flux duping and scamming and stuff like that. But too little too late, you know, like all of the flux duping has already gone and been done with many times over, so it doesn't matter anymore. Most of all on PC. Console, you guys didn't deal with it too much. I think you did at the early portion, or at least on Xbox. I don't know if PlayStation ever had it, but point being is that now, where the heck is the marketplace? There it is. Point is that now with the marketplace, it's really nice because it does have like a comma with all the cash shop stuff. You can, you know, list things and see an immediate, like when you're trying to list something, it'll actually show you quite literally like what the average price is, what the total price is and stuff like that. But it's going to end up giving you a listing fee. So it's going to cost you a certain percentage of flux towards listing the product on the cash shop, which, or on the player market, not cash shop, which is not really super significant. But the funny thing is that what this update did was make it so that when you end up actually selling the item, a huge chunk of that flux is not actually given to the player. It's just gone to the cosmic wind. And so what it ended up essentially doing to the Trove community is now people feel quite divided because for the most part, this ended up making everything way more expensive because people just went, okay, well, if you're going to charge me this much money in taxes, I'm just going to increase the price of everything. So everything across the board is way more expensive. Which is ironic because the devs thought that this would make things cheaper and more affordable. So there's also the Nekonomicon. So some superstitious Trovians claim the Nekonomicon is available to craft like other tomes, but blah, 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 blah. There's basically this new tome that when you end up crafting it, this tome gives a gravesite buff, which allows the player to see Fiona Catastra, which is a new NPC who hangs out at Adventure World Outposts. Occasionally filling this tome also grants Fiona Catastra recipes for the Fees workbench. I don't know why they kind of have this all in theme with the new Shadow Towers or Delve's Shadow Tower biome and stuff like that. But essentially there's going to end up being this, you know, new legendary tome that has all that crap. There's also going to end up being an additional change in this update that was quite significant, which made it so that harvesting resources such as ore now limit themselves to being collected by the nearest 8 people to make them more consistent with other drops such as loot, which basically destroyed Ganda farms. So no more Ganda trains. And then lastly, there is the most recent update, which is the Fluxion update. Now, Fluxion is, well, he doesn't work on PC yet. Hopefully he works this time because tomorrow we're going to have Luxion actually show up. Basically, we're supposed to vote on items in Luxion's inventory that we want to see in Luxion's inventory. Vote on Fluxion's inventory. Oh my god, I get the names confused all the time. But anyways, you're supposed to be able to vote on items in this guy's inventory so that they show up in Luxion's inventory. It's still pretty rigged because obviously the items that Fluxion has for that week are going to end up being items that the devs have chosen rather than what players actually want to see. But you can see there's still quite a significant amount of votes for the Scout Saucer. I can confirm that on PC, we've got a completely different set of items that we're voting on currently for Fluxion's inventory. However, the first week of Fluxion on PC, all of us voted on a bunch of stuff. Some people ended up spending like tons and tons of flux to get like the items that they wanted out of Luxion. Luxion showed up, didn't have any of the items that Fluxion players voted on, and then when Fluxion finally came back, he had a whole different set of items for us to vote on. So hopefully they've actually sorted this guy out and made it a functioning aspect of the game that isn't going to just eat away your flux, because yeah, that's not really that much, but let's see. So 101 times 5,293. Basically, people have spent over 500,000 flux just to get the saucer in Luxion's inventory alone. So again, will it end up actually having its function tomorrow? We'll see. I don't know. Oh, I guess I should also mention that when Caruxian is going to show up for the weekend, Fluxion's functionality will change, where instead he'll try to sell you recycled crap like Luxion does for Dragon coins, and a significant amount of Dragon coins as well. He's basically just another scam artist that is here to scam new players out of their Dragon coins without the devs ever taking the effort to actually fix dragon coins because they're broken. So there's also the most significant update you guys have gotten is the Castle Catastra. You've probably seen me grinding this new delve biome in my most recent Trove live streams. In short, it's the Shadow Towers, but buried away into a very specific delve portal. So the delve portal can be gotten in a handful of different ways. The most obvious one is the fact that you can craft it. You can get it out of the cash shop as well, technically speaking, because this NPC will actually sell you delve items for, you know, actual cash shop currency, which is credits. Free to play can technically get it, but not really. So the mount delve usable, this basically makes it so that whatever mount you have equipped can be used in the delves. This one makes it so that whatever wings you have equipped can be used in the delves. I don't know why you would ever want that. For the mount, it would be useful for volatile bounder, maybe Ganda, maybe. I haven't tested it yet because I can't justify spending all of my gemeralds, which is the new resource. But anyways, you can also craft it in the depth stepper. So there's going to be this portal right down here. Not bad, you know, obviously it still costs the same that pretty much everything else does, but at least it doesn't cost as much purple, I guess, and it just costs bones instead of nitroglycerin or other more annoying resources. So I'll insert some footage for you guys. This is basically what the biome looks like. It's really cool, but unfortunately you do still have to go through the preliminary caves before you can end up actually getting to the Catastra biome. Once you're in the Catastra biome, you want to kill all the enemies, you want to gather all of the gemeralds that you can. It's basically a new resource that is used to craft a bunch of mounts and allies and stuff. Most of the allies will actually allow you to get more gemeralds from enemies within the Catastra biome, as well as get it from gathering ore out in the open world and blah, 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 blah. Basically, the allies end up complementing the gemerald resource, but unfortunately, it is a parasitic update. And I don't mean that in a toxic way. I mean, quite literally, it's like a parasite latching onto the rest of the game that doesn't end up contributing anything to the game. So I've criticized Trove for this parasitic design a lot, but basically what I'm getting at is once we end up getting enough gemeralds to get all of the items out of the Catastra biome, there is literally no reason to revisit that biome. So unfortunately, it's just another completely segmented off piece of content that doesn't really affect Trove in the grand scheme of things. It's just you're grinding the allies so that you can grind more of the resource to grind more of the allies and stuff. And it's just, yeah. One thing I do want to mention, because I made this mistake. What? Okay, cool. I was just standing there, but whatever. There is a new set of mounts, 2 mounts to be exact, that you can craft with gemeralds and so on and so forth, but it also costs a memento. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because, as you've probably seen in the past, there are other items in Trove that require you to learn a memento before you can craft the item. However, the Catastra mounts want you to use the memento as a crafting resource in order to get the mounts. The only reason I'm pointing this out is because I consumed the memento, not realizing I needed to use it to craft the item. There is a very rare chance of getting tradable versions of all the mounts and allies and junk like that, but good luck. That's all I'll say. For those of you that are also going to be asking a lot about the keys, so there is a very rare chest that can spawn in the Catastra area. That's literally all the fee key is for. Generally speaking, you're going to find more keys than you do chests. Unfortunately, the chests are not client side, meaning that everybody in the room has to be by the chest when it gets opened. Otherwise, if you're too far away, you're not going to get the loot. So anyways, moving on, the other big important thing that happened with the Fluxion update is the Cosmic Primordial Dragon, which has had a lot of controversy around it. Basically, it just is the mount in the game that 100% proves the devs don't play this, because the crafting components for it are absolutely ridiculous and is only going to affect people at the end game, because nobody in their right mind would ever end up crafting this dragon. It's going to basically give you a 10% boost to your cosmic gem stats, which, you know, is nice and allows us to reach 47k PR, which is cool. But generally speaking, it's just a mount for freaks like me that have so many resources. And even then, I'm a freak at the end game and it was very expensive for me to craft it. I've got plenty of videos talking about it. So there's also badge tracking. So if we end up opening up, I think it's the adventure menu. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so there's going to end up being badges right down here. You gotta scroll down for it, which is a little bit gross. You can choose whether it always shows it or not on your menu, but it's basically always going to show you the trophy that the game considers to be the closest one that you can obtain, or it'll show the most recent favorited badge, I think is how it works. Or maybe it just cycles through all of your favorited badges. So basically you would only favorite one of them, and that would basically show up on the right side of our screen, as you can see right now with the bronze badge for the Darkneck Dread. There's also the Master's Auto Scriber, which is a crafting table I haven't shown you guys in any videos yet, because you basically have to have 800 base Trove mastery in order to obtain it. And it's pretty useless, generally speaking. There is also some more additional fixes and stuff that basically mention that they fixed memory leaks and blah, 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 blah. My feedback for the update from you guys on console, because I obviously don't main console anymore, is that on PlayStation, obviously it still crashes a crap ton. I mean, you saw in this video, I was just standing here and it crashed. But generally speaking, I've noticed that it crashes a lot more on PS5 than it does on PS4. At least in my experience. I don't know if that's changed, but you can sound off in the comments of your opinions on it. I haven't heard anything about Xbox. And unfortunately, as you've noticed with the title of this video, none of this has hit Nintendo Switch yet. And we don't know when it's going to hit Nintendo Switch. Unfortunately, we didn't even know this update was coming out on consoles this week. It just dropped randomly. I don't know why they even have someone doing their social media over on Twitter or X or whatever the heck Elon's renamed it to now, because all they do is just post random stuff about it's fishing day, go get your fish. And when it's like, bro, why can you guys tell us like when the new updates are coming or what you guys are working on or something? I don't know. Maybe they're under like strict do not disclose clause. Fingers crossed Fluxion works, dude. Like genuinely. My last bit of feedback is that the Castle Catastra, for whatever reason, has almost completely broken delves. They only work like maybe 70% of the time, which seems like a pretty decent amount. But I've had it happen many, many times where the delves will completely break, thus wasting the Castle Catastra portal that I crafted in the first place. Like, it's just so frustrating. Also, I would love if we could start a petition to get the devs to just completely replace normal delves with the Catastra biome. It is so much better than the caves.